The chosen ones that I am about to share may surprise you, even shock you, if you watch this video. It is no coincidence that you are here for a reason. Your true childhood story has been revealed, yes, and it is not an ordinary story. You had a special childhood and you know very little about your childhood. The chosen one, you have been chosen since you were a child. You did not realize it, but now this video will remind you of your childhood and guide you to understand your divine purpose. The end, so that you will have a better understanding of the divine plan that God has laid out for you. After what you will hear, you will have a spiritual awakening and your life will never be the same. I want you to do these 3 things, like subscribe to the video so that we can reach 10,000 subscribers, and leave the number 99 in the comment section. This number has great energy and it will also energize the video. If you are truly chosen, you will watch this video to the end because you already know that this message is for you. Now we are on a journey to find your true identity from the moment they are born. Some children receive invisible signs that have deep meaning. Seemingly ordinary events in their lives are actually divine signs that God is guiding their path, perhaps a feeling of peace, perhaps a feeling of deep connection with the world. These are signs that you are called to a divine mission, however seemingly mundane. Remember Ephesians 1 verse 4, for he chose us in Christ before the foundation of the world. In his love, he predestined us to be holy and without blemish. You too can have memories from it. Your childhood carries special messages that make you different. If you receive the signs I am about to tell you are very special to God, so don't forget to share the video with your loved ones and make sure they benefit from this blessing. Now let's dive into the message. Chosen one, have you ever felt that your childhood was different? That there was something about you that set you apart, something you couldn't quite explain, yet deep down, you always knew you weren't like everyone else. Perhaps, even as a child, you felt a strange sense of peace that others didn't seem to have. While the world around you was filled with noise, distractions, and chaos, something inside you remained calm, unshaken. It was as if a quiet force surrounded you, protecting you, guiding you, whispering to your soul that you were meant for something greater. Or maybe you felt an unexplainable connection to the world, to nature, to moments that seemed small but held a deep, indescribable weight in your heart. The sound of rain tapping against your window, the rustling of leaves in the wind, or the quiet stillness of the night, it all felt like it was speaking to you, as if the universe itself was revealing a secret only you could hear. And then, there were the memories, certain moments from your childhood that stand out for no apparent reason. Moments you cannot forget. Maybe it was a dream that felt too real, a feeling of déjà vu that kept returning, a question that always lingered in your mind but no one seemed to have an answer for. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why do I feel like I don't belong? If these thoughts resonate with you, you are not alone. These were not coincidences. They were divine signs. The world may have dismissed them, but God never did. He was speaking to you, even then. Every feeling, every realization, every moment of solitude, it was all part of his plan. Ephesians 1 verse 4 tells us, for he chose us in Christ before the foundation of the world. In his love, he predestined us to be holy and without blemish. Think about that for a moment. Before the world even existed, God had already chosen you. Before you took your first breath, he had already marked you as his own. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. You were set apart. But here's the truth, most of us don't recognize these signs when we're young. We grow up believing that our differences are burdens, that our loneliness is a curse, that our questions make us strange. But in reality, these were the very things that proved God's hand was on our lives from the beginning. So now, I ask you, did you ever feel different as a child? Did you sense things that others didn't? Did you feel drawn towards something greater, even if you couldn't explain why? If your answer is yes, then I want you to take a step of faith today. Comment "I remember" below if this message speaks to you. Let the world know that you are awakening to your truth. This is not just about remembering the past. This is about embracing your calling. Your childhood held clues about who you truly are. Now, it's time to uncover the rest. Keep watching, because the revelation has only just begun. Chosen one, have you ever felt like you didn't quite belong? Maybe, even as a child, you sensed it, that invisible barrier between you and the rest of the world. While other children played freely, laughed easily, and followed the flow of life without a second thought, you felt something different. It wasn't that you didn't want to join in, it was that, deep down, you knew you saw things differently. Perhaps you often found yourself standing on the sidelines, watching, observing, trying to make sense of everything around you. You weren't just living life, you were studying it, analyzing it, questioning it. Did you ever feel like the way you thought wasn't quite the same as others? While other children were talking about their favorite games, you were wondering, why are we here? While others accepted the world as it was, you questioned it, why do people hurt each other? When adults told you to believe something, you didn't just accept it, you needed to understand why. This deep questioning, this relentless search for meaning, wasn't random. It wasn't something to suppress. It was a sign. A sign that you were meant for something greater. But here's the truth, being different often feels like a burden before you understand it's a blessing. Maybe you felt isolated. Maybe you wondered why you didn't think like everyone else, why your mind worked the way it did. Maybe you even tried to change, to fit in, to be like everyone else, only to realize that no matter how much you tried, something inside you refused to conform. That's because you were never meant to conform. You were set apart. The world around you may have told you that being different was a weakness. That your deep thinking, your sensitivity, your curiosity made you strange. But what if I told you that those very things were proof that God had chosen you from the beginning? Ephesians 1 verse 4 reminds us. For he chose us in Christ before the foundation of the world. In his love, he predestined us to be holy and without blemish. This means your uniqueness was never a mistake. Before you even took your first breath, before the world even knew your name, God had already set you apart for something extraordinary. And now, I want you to take a moment. Think back to your childhood. Did you ever feel like you didn't fit in, no matter how much you tried? Did you ask deep questions that no one else seemed to wonder about? Did you sense things that others didn't, emotions, energies, or even a calling you couldn't explain? If you feel like I'm speaking directly to you right now, it's because this message was meant for you. Take a step of faith and comment below, I am different. Let the world know that you are awakening to your truth. Let it be a declaration that you are finally embracing what makes you unique. For too long, the world has tried to make you doubt yourself. But today, you reclaim your identity. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. And the moment you fully accept this truth, everything will start to make sense. But there's more. Because your difference is not just about how you think, it's about the purpose God has for you. Stay with me. What comes next will reveal why you were made this way. The revelation is only just beginning. Chosen one, have you ever noticed how, no matter where life takes you, you always seem to carry the weight of others? It's not because you seek it. It's not because you ask for it. But for some reason, people are drawn to you in their times of need. They come to you when they're hurting. They reach out when they need someone to understand, someone who won't judge them, someone who will listen with an open heart. And you have always been that person. The one who comforts. The one who gives. The one who carries the burdens that no one else wants to bear. But here's the painful truth, how many times have you given without receiving? How often have you wiped away someone's tears, only to cry alone when it was your turn to be heard? How many times have you stood beside others in their darkest moments, only to feel abandoned when you needed support? How often have you poured out love, kindness, and patience, but received only silence? In return, I know it hurts. I know how heavy that burden can feel. But listen to me, your compassion is not a weakness. Your heart was made this way because God designed you for something greater. There is a reason why you feel the pain of others so deeply. A reason why you can sense when someone is struggling, even when they say they're fine. A reason why you can walk into a room and feel the weight of the unspoken emotions around you. This is not an accident. This is a calling. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Your empathy, your kindness, your deep love for others, these are not burdens. They are signs of your divine mission. Because the world needs people like you. The lost need someone to guide them. The broken need someone to show them hope. The ones drowning in darkness need someone to shine a light. And that is why you are here. That is why you have always been different. But I know that sometimes, it feels unfair. Sometimes, you wonder, why am I always the one giving? Why am I always the one who understands, but so few seem to understand me? And here's the answer: you were chosen to lead, not to follow. You were chosen to be a healer, to be a guide, to be a source of light in a world that desperately needs it. And yes, it can feel lonely. It can feel exhausting. But your loneliness is not a punishment, it is a sign of your calling. God did not create you to be like everyone else. He created you to stand apart, to serve, to lead, to love. And today, I want you to declare it. If you have always felt this deep responsibility for others, if you know in your heart that your compassion is part of your purpose, type in the comments, "I am called to serve." Let this be the moment you embrace your gift, instead of seeing it as a burden. You were never meant to be like the rest. You were meant to be a beacon of love, of strength, of divine light. And the moment you fully accept this truth, everything will start to make sense. But there is still more. Because what if I told you that your sensitivity to others, your deep emotions, and your ability to see pain that others ignore, were not just feelings, but a direct connection to something greater? Stay with me. What comes next will reveal even more about why you were chosen. The journey is far from over. From the moment you were young, you felt things differently than those around you. Walking into a room, you could sense the energy before anyone spoke. It was as if an unseen force whispered to you, telling you whether a space was filled with peace or tension. You noticed shifts in people's moods, even when they tried to hide them. A simple glance, a change in tone, the way someone hesitated before speaking, you always knew when something was wrong. And nature, too, seemed to call to you in a way that others didn't understand. The wind carried messages, the trees felt like silent guardians, and the stars above gave you a sense of belonging beyond this world. Most people dismiss these things. They see only what is in front of them, oblivious to the deeper spiritual forces at work. But not you. You have always known there was more. Your awareness has always extended beyond the physical, beyond what is seen and easily explained. And at times, this has felt overwhelming. There were moments when you wished you could turn it off, when the weight of feeling too much became exhausting. You may have questioned why you seemed to care more than others, why you picked up on things no one else noticed, or why you carried emotions that weren't even yours. But you were never meant to be blind. You were meant to discern. What feels like a burden has always been a gift. This heightened sensitivity is part of your divine design, preparing you for the purpose God has set before you. John 15 verse 16 reminds us, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you." You did not stumble upon this ability by accident. You were chosen to carry it. Think back to your experiences. Have you ever had a strong feeling about something before it happened? Have you ever felt drawn to someone, sensing they needed your help, even when they never said a word? Have you ever stood in a place and felt its energy, as if it carried a memory, a spiritual imprint of something greater? These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Your spirit is attuned to the unseen because God created you to navigate a world that is more than what meets the eye. For too long, the world has tried to convince you that your awareness is an inconvenience. But today, you must recognize it as the divine gift that it is. This ability was given to you not to overwhelm you, but to guide you. It was meant to protect you, to lead you, and to prepare you for something greater than yourself. And now, it is time to embrace it. If you know deep within that you were created with this awareness for a reason, if you feel the truth of these words in your soul, acknowledge it today. Comment below, I am aware. Let this be your declaration that you are stepping into your divine calling, no longer questioning the way you were made, but fully accepting it. This is not the end of your journey. It is only the beginning. Because now, the question is not whether you were given this gift, but what you will do with it. The answer is waiting, and the revelation continues. There is something about you that makes people open up, something unspoken yet undeniable. Without even trying, you become the person others confide in, the one they seek when they are in pain. You feel their sorrow as if it were your own, their burdens as if they were placed directly on your shoulders. Their unspoken struggles become part of you, and though you may not always understand why, you cannot ignore the deep sense of responsibility you feel toward those who are hurting. At times, this gift of empathy has felt overwhelming. You have carried the emotions of others so intensely that it has left you drained, exhausted by the weight of feelings that were never truly yours to begin with. You have given so much of yourself, your time, your energy, your love, even when you had nothing left to give. And yet, you could never turn away. Even when your own heart was breaking, you found the strength to comfort someone else. Even when you were struggling in silence, you still reached out to lift another. But hear this, your empathy is not a flaw. It is a divine calling. The world may tell you that feeling too much is a weakness, that you should guard your heart, that you should learn to care less. But Galatians 6 verse 2 tells us the truth, carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. You were never meant to walk away from the suffering of others because you were created to bring healing. This ability to connect with people on such a deep level is not something everyone possesses. It is a sacred responsibility, a reflection of God's love working through you. You are a vessel of His compassion, a light in the lives of those who are lost, a source of comfort to the weary. And though it may feel like a heavy burden at times, it is also one of the most powerful gifts God could ever bestow. So now, I ask you, have you always been the one others turn to in their pain? Have you felt the weight of emotions that are not yours? Have you given endlessly, even when no one seemed to notice or appreciate it? If so, then recognize this for what it truly is, not just an aspect of your personality, but a sign of your divine purpose. Today, I want you to claim this truth. If you know that your heart was made to serve, to comfort, and to carry the burdens of others, comment below, I am chosen to heal. Let this be your declaration that you are stepping into the role God designed for you, not as someone who is drained by their empathy, but as someone who understands its power. The world needs more people like you. People who listen, who care, who love selflessly. Do not let the weight of your compassion discourage you. Instead, let it remind you that God is using you for something greater. You are not just feeling, you are healing. And the journey is far from over. What comes next will reveal how your gift is meant to shape the lives of others and fulfill the purpose that has been waiting for you all along. There are messages that come not through words, but through visions in the quiet of the night. Have you ever woken up from a dream so vivid, so full of meaning, that it lingered in your mind for days? Have you ever had dreams that seemed more real than reality itself, dreams that carried emotions so powerful that they left an imprint on your soul? For many, dreams are fleeting, easily forgotten upon waking. But for you, dreams have always been different. They have spoken to you, revealed things to you, and, at times, even warned you. Perhaps you have dreamt of events before they happened, seen glimpses of the future long before they became reality. Perhaps your dreams have brought you messages, guidance, or even reassurance in times of uncertainty. If this is true for you, then know this: your dreams are not random. They are divine whispers from God. All throughout history, God has spoken to His chosen ones through dreams. In Matthew 1 verses 20 to 21, we see how God sent an angel to Joseph in a dream, revealing the truth about Mary and instructing him on the role he was destined to play. This was no ordinary dream, it was a divine message that changed the course of history. And just as God spoke to Joseph, he speaks to you. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever had a dream that felt like a warning, only to later realize it was preparing you for something? Have you ever dreamt of a person or a place, only to encounter them in real life? Have you ever felt that your dreams were showing you something deeper, something beyond what the waking world could explain? These moments are not coincidences. They are signs of your heightened spiritual awareness. You have been given a gift, a connection to the divine realm that allows you to receive messages in ways that others cannot. This is why some of your dreams feel prophetic, why they return in cycles, why they refuse to be ignored. They are guiding you, leading you, shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. But here's the question, are you paying attention? Are you listening to the messages being given to you, or are you dismissing them as mere imagination? Today, I want you to acknowledge this gift. If you have ever experienced a dream that felt like a message from God, if you have ever received guidance through visions in your sleep, comment below, I am receiving God's messages. Let this be your declaration that you are ready to embrace this divine connection, ready to listen, ready to walk in the wisdom that has been entrusted to you. God does not speak to everyone in this way. But He has chosen to speak to you. Your dreams are not just dreams, they are revelations, waiting to be understood. And as you continue on this journey, you will begin to see how they fit into the greater plan He has prepared for you. The next step in your awakening is near. Stay with me, there is more to be revealed. There are moments in life that defy logic, situations where disaster seemed inevitable, yet somehow, you walked away unharmed. Have you ever faced danger and, against all odds, emerged untouched? Have you ever felt as if something unseen was watching over you, shielding you from harm, guiding your steps away from unseen threats? Think back. Perhaps there was a time when an accident should have claimed you, yet something told you to move just in time. Maybe there was a situation where you should have suffered loss, but instead, you were spared. Or perhaps you have felt it, a presence, an unseen force standing between you and harm, as if you were never truly alone. If this resonates with you, understand this truth, you have been protected. The world may call it luck, but deep down, you know better. This is not chance. This is divine intervention. God has placed His hand over your life, shielding you in ways you may not even realize. Psalm 34 verse 7 tells us, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him, and He delivers them." This means that your survival was never random. It was a sign. A sign that God has chosen you, that His angels have surrounded you, that you have a purpose greater than you may have ever imagined. Many people go through life without ever feeling this kind of protection. They walk without guidance, without reassurance, without knowing whether their steps are truly safe. But you have always felt that something was different. Have you ever had a strong urge to change your plans, only to later realize that doing so saved you from something unseen? Have you ever walked away from situations that could have destroyed you, wondering why you were spared? Have you ever felt a presence near you in moments of fear, as if you were not standing alone? These are not coincidences. These are reminders. You have been protected for a reason. Because your life holds purpose. Because your journey is not yet complete. Because God is not finished with you. If you have ever experienced this divine protection, if you have ever felt that an unseen hand has guided you away from harm, comment below, I am protected. Let this be a declaration of faith, a recognition that you are under divine care. For too long, you may have wondered why you survived certain moments, why you have walked through fire yet remained unharmed. Today, you have your answer. God's hand has always been on you. His angels have been with you. And now, the question is, what are you being protected for? What greater mission lies ahead that requires God's constant presence over your life? Keep watching. The answers are coming, and your journey is far from over. From a young age, you felt something different, a presence, a connection, an unseen force guiding you. While other children were occupied with the distractions of the world, you found yourself drawn to moments of stillness, moments where you could feel something greater than yourself. Even before you fully understood who God was, you sensed Him. There were times when you prayed, not because someone told you to, but because it felt natural, almost as if you were speaking to someone who was always listening. You didn't need proof of His existence because, deep in your heart, you already knew He was there. Maybe you remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, feeling as if someone was watching over you, protecting you. Maybe you felt an unexplainable peace when you were alone, as if the silence itself was filled with His presence. Or perhaps there were moments when life felt overwhelming, yet when you turned to prayer, a wave of comfort washed over you, as if unseen hands were holding you. If you have ever felt this, then know that it was not your imagination. It was a sign. A confirmation that God has been with you from the very beginning. Jeremiah 29 verses 12 to 13 tells us, "Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart." This means that your connection with God has never been about religion, rules, or rituals. It has been about relationship. A divine bond that existed before you even understood its significance. You have always been different. While others questioned whether God was real, you simply felt Him. While others searched for purpose in external things, you instinctively knew that your purpose was tied to something beyond this world. Now, take a moment to reflect. Have you always felt close to God, even when you were too young to understand why? Have you experienced moments where you felt His presence so strongly that it was undeniable? If this resonates with you, then acknowledge it today. Comment below, "I have always been chosen." Let this be your declaration that you recognize the connection that has been with you since childhood. Let it be a reminder that you were never alone, never forgotten, never unseen. The world may have tried to distract you, to pull you away, to make you question what you have always known in your heart. But today, you reclaim it. You were chosen from the beginning. You have always belonged to Him. And now, as you continue forward, the pieces of your journey will start to make sense. Because your connection to God is not just about the past, it is leading you towards something even greater. Stay with me. What comes next will reveal the full picture of why you were called. There are moments in life when loneliness becomes more than just a feeling, it becomes a constant companion. Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong anywhere? As if, no matter how much you try to connect, there is always a distance between you and the rest of the world. You watch people laugh, engage in conversations, and find joy in the ordinary, yet something inside you feels detached. While others chase after the temporary pleasures of life, you have always sought something deeper. You have always questioned, always wondered, always felt that there was more to this existence than what meets the eye. This loneliness, this sense of being different, may have felt like a burden. It may have made you wonder if something was wrong with you. But what if I told you that your isolation was never a curse, it was a calling? God does not set apart those He does not intend to use. Your loneliness was never meant to break you. It was meant to prepare you. James 1 verses 2 to 4 reminds us. "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Every moment of solitude, every time you felt like an outsider, every instance where you stood apart from the crowd, it was all shaping you. It was refining you, making you stronger, wiser, and ready for something greater. Think about it. Why do you think you see the world differently than most people? Why do you think your mind constantly searches for deeper meaning while others seem content with surface-level distractions? Why do you feel things so profoundly, question so deeply, and long for something more? Because you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to rise above. The loneliness you have felt was not a punishment, it was a divine preparation. God has been setting you apart, molding you for a mission that not everyone is called to carry. While others lived in comfort, you were tested in the fire. While others sought belonging in the temporary, you were being prepared for something eternal. If this speaks to your soul, if you have ever felt that your loneliness was more than just an accident but rather a sign of something greater, I want you to declare it today. Comment below, I was set apart for a purpose. Let this be your moment of realization, your affirmation that you were never meant to follow the crowd, you were meant to lead. The world may not have understood you, but God always has. Every lonely night, every unanswered question, every feeling of being different, it was all part of His plan. And now, you are starting to see the truth. You are not alone. You never were. Because those who are called for something greater must first walk the path of solitude. But now, you are stepping into the next phase. Your mission is unfolding. Keep going, because the revelation is only getting stronger. Throughout your life, certain stories have stirred something deep within you. While others were entertained by tales of adventure, fantasy, or fiction, you were drawn to something greater, stories of faith, sacrifice, and divine purpose. You felt a connection with those who stood firm in the face of trials, those who walked a path that was not easy but was chosen for them by God. Moses, who led his people through the wilderness despite his own doubts and insecurities. Noah, who built an ark in obedience, even when the world mocked him. Daniel, who faced the lions but never wavered in his faith. These were not just historical figures to you. They felt familiar, as if their struggles, their tests, and their victories reflected something within your own soul. When you read about their challenges, you understood them, not just as stories of the past, but as messages meant for you. Have you ever wondered why these stories resonate so deeply? Why, when others hear them as lessons, you feel them as if they were personal? It is because God has planted something within you, a fire, a calling, a longing to live out the mission He has prepared for you. Romans 15 verse 4 tells us, "For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through the endurance taught in the Scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope." These stories were never meant to just be read. They were meant to awaken something in those who were called. You have been drawn to them because your spirit recognizes their significance. Their faith, their endurance, their obedience, they were chosen, just as you have been. And now, you stand at a similar crossroads. You have a choice. Will you ignore this fire inside of you? Will you dismiss this deep connection, believing that you are just another person in this world? Or will you embrace it, knowing that just as God called them, He is calling you? If you feel this connection, if you have always been inspired by the great figures of faith, if you know deep down that their stories are meant to guide you, declare it today. Comment below, I am called to walk in faith. Let it be your confirmation that you are stepping into the purpose that has been waiting for you. You are not just here to read about faith. You are here to live it. The stories that have stirred your soul were never just meant to be admired, they were meant to lead you forward. And now, the question remains, what will you do with this calling? Because just like Moses, just like Noah, just like Daniel, your journey is just beginning. Stay with me, because what comes next will reveal how to step into the mission you were born for. Every question you have ever asked, every moment you have felt different, every time you sensed something greater within you, none of it was random. These were not fleeting thoughts or mere coincidences. They were signs. Signs of a soul that has been awakening. Signs of a purpose that has been calling. Signs that God has been reaching out to you, waiting for you to recognize what has been true all along. You were never just another person in this world. You have always been chosen. Before you were even born, before you took your first breath, God had already set His plans for you in motion. He placed within you a heart that seeks truth, a mind that refuses to settle for the ordinary, and a soul that longs for something eternal. That longing, that constant pull towards something greater, it has always been Him. And now, the time has come for you to realize what this truly means. You were never meant to live a life of complacency, to blend into the background, to silence the voice inside you that calls you towards something higher. You were born to stand out. You were born to carry His light. The world may have tried to convince you otherwise. It may have told you that your difference was a weakness, that your questions were unnecessary, that your loneliness was a flaw. But now, you see the truth. Everything you have experienced has been preparing you for the mission that awaits. You are not here to live an ordinary life. You are here to illuminate the world. And now, the choice is yours. Will you step into your purpose? Will you embrace what God has been revealing to you? Will you walk forward in faith, knowing that you were called for something far greater than what this world offers? This is your moment of declaration. If this message has resonated with your soul, if you feel the undeniable truth of these words, declare it today. Comment below, "I accept my calling." Let this be your confirmation, your moment of awakening, your step into the divine plan that has been waiting for you all along. Do not let this message end here. Step forward. Step into faith. Step into the life that God has chosen for you. Because once you accept this truth, once you allow God to lead you, nothing will ever be the same. You were chosen. You have always been chosen. Now, it is time to walk in that truth.